Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Aaron. Welcome to episode number 7 of the Dreams to Life Artist Series. This week's guest is one of my favorite artists I've been following for a couple decades now. He manages one of my favorite record labels, Dirtybird Records, and also manages Paradise Distribution. Deron Delgado, please help me welcome him. Let me get him on. What's up, brother?
What's up, man? How are you?
Good, yourself?
Great, man. Doing good. Thanks for having me.
Hell yeah, man. Thank you so much for taking the time and accepting my invitation.
Yeah, of course, anytime.
Yeah, man. So I started this artist series a little while ago. It's been 2 weeks now, 2.5 weeks, and reaching out to all my favorite artists and producers and just hearing their story and having them share their experiences in the house music community, trying to push forward lifestyle and just kind of discussing, what you've been through and where you plan to go. I appreciate
Yeah, it's great, man. Good job. Love sharing knowledge, and yeah, happy to be a part of it.
Hell yeah, thank you. So, tell us a little bit about your history in the scene and how you started, what you've been up to, and go from
Yeah, I started. I got my degree in audio engineering, but I was a shitty engineer. But what I was good at was I kind of started a record label back then called Good Family Recordings. With my good friend Mike Frugaletti. And our claim to fame was we put out Joey Youngman's very first release prior to Wolfgang Gartner back in 2000. And then that kind of was just, and then after that, I ended up, helping run Stompy.com, the digital download store in like 2004. And ran that for 13 years. And then about 2013, Paradise, which, at Stompy, I was kind of director of label relations. So I did all the deals with all the distributors and all the labels and stuff and getting them. At that time, it was about convincing them that digital was actually good to go, since everything was on vinyl at that point. And then Paradise was looking to expand into the US because there, frankly, isn't that many US-based distributors that do electronic music. I mean, there's like Ingrooves and the Orchard and such not, but they're kind of all owned by major labels. So the idea was back in 2013, so going on 8 years now, we would, start a sister company out here. So which I'm the managing director for still. And then so we have our headquarters are in Berlin. I run it's called Paradise Americas is our sister company. We're kind of all the same, but we have a Latin American team that I manage down there. As well as we have a big team in South Africa and a few other around the world as well. And then in 2015, the Dirtybird guys, we all grew up together on, in the San Francisco scene, and they were kind of going through a transition around that time. And so, they've been around for about 8 or 9 years at that point, but they had never really had a label manager that kind of had some actual label manager experience. So I kind of hopped on and then now here we are, 8 years later or something like that. And I do the booking. I label manage and then do run the publishing company, our Birdfeed site subscription service, and then also the talent buyer for all of our festivals like Dirtybird Camp Out and Camp In and such like that. So, and then also manage a couple other smaller record labels from the inside out too. So.
That's incredible. Yeah, I definitely tell a difference in Dirtybird when we took over and like all of the different events that started happening and just the growth that Dirtybird has gone through the past 8-9 years has been truly remarkable. And kind of going back from like when you were running Good Family and Stompy, what have you seen has been the biggest transition in the scene with respect to just the overall culture and life, so to speak? There's so many more tentacles of the culture and industry nowadays with all the festivals populating.
Yeah.
How has been your experience through all of these adjustments and changes?
Well, I think on just the putting music outside. I mean, Good Family's a vinyl record label to, the two extreme Dirtybird were doing NFTs, right? So, and it was that you know, from vinyl. And then, like I said, with Stompy, it was about convincing people to go digital. It really was. I mean, that was literally me and Preston would be in his loft, like with like stacks of CDs from like Ohm Records and Ghostly International, trying, you know, burning CDs through Apple, you know, whatever. Like, and then kind of once that going with the distribution side, it was like basically convincing people to go to streaming because then they were used to Beatport, and so you know, a lot of that conversation was, no, Spotify is good for you, and you know, whatever. And then now it's like the shifting right to this Web3 stuff where there's a lot of, you know, which is just, you know, the tip of the iceberg in terms of what is possible in that space, but that's kind of where it's shifting, right? So I think that's kind of the biggest, you know, the overarching theme of the past, you know, 20, 25 years or whatever, that I've really, you know, kind of seen and been kind of just kind of navigate, you know.
You mentioned a minute ago, you mentioned NFTs. What are you guys planning on doing there?
So we do a few things. We do our main thing is we do what's called the Dirtybird Flight Club, and so I think in November or January we did basically a regenerative bird drop of 9,000 birds NFTs. We work closely with a lot of like illustrators, and BirdCap have basically done a new version of our logo and made about 40 or no, sorry, like 200 different characteristics, like different beaks and hats or whatever. And so on the drop, you got, you know, had a chance to purchase it and it sold out in like 3 minutes or whatever. But that gives you access to, we assign like exclusive tracks like Corti, I think a couple other Technicas, I think, and a couple other ones where literally they're not even on SoundCloud. If you can only download them if you have access to one of these NFT birds. And then we also do real world activations with it where it's like, you know, a camp in and camp out. We do like private parties if you have the bird. So the idea is it's not, you know, the quote unquote JPEG, right? It's to add, you know, the utility, the actual thing to where it can add value instead of just, like I said, a JPEG or whatever, which there, of course, there is value to that, and that art is sense. And Dirtybird, you know, having such a close connection to artwork and being important to us, it's kind of a natural progression into that space. And then the next iteration of that is we've built basically it's called Birdie. We call it the Birdieverse or Birdheim, whatever you want to call it. But and so if you have a bird, one of these 9,000 birds, you can interact. We have music playing all day, and you can chat. So again, it's a thing that runs in parallel. It's to everything, and you know, it's not like we're pulling a Snoop Dogg and taking down the Death Row catalog and you know, putting everything as an NFT, but it's just another way to drive engagement and different revenue streams and different ways to you know, get out there, since obviously things change pretty fast.
I think I definitely see how the increase in just the culture's engagement has been surrounded with Dirtybird from the time I started following them early 2000s to now. Just seeing the community growth is nothing short of spectacular.
Yeah, we always say we have the best fans in the world. I mean, we're lucky they're so passionate, and yeah, I mean, we literally do it all for them. It's amazing to watch, and just the level of engagement, and it's, you know, and we have a blast with them, you know. So it's great.
One of the best marketing things that I've seen is allowing the fan base to create their own merch and just use the logos and be creative with whatever they want to. That's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, we have so many cool ideas. Like, they get so many cool ideas from them, and like they take it to the level. The best one I saw was someone made a full zipper hoodie, like with every Dirtybird logo. Like, it was like one of the ones that goes all the way over, and he was around camp out on that. I mean, there's so many cool things I've seen. I'm a big fan of the totems too that people always do at camp out too. So that's always one of my favorite. The creativity that people come up with is just mind blowing to me. So
it's really incredible being on stage and looking out and seeing all of the lights, all the totems, and all of the creative decor that people bring.
No, it's great, and we're super appreciative of all the fans and everyone and that interaction, and that's kind of what makes it. And that's what camp out wasn't first. It was, you know, wasn't about just going and, partying, listening to music. That's the big part. But it was also all that other engagement too, such as the games and activities and being a part of it rather than instead of just being someone on the sideline staring up at a, DJ playing records, why not kind of get involved and make it more interesting and fun for that whole weekend. So that was kind of even the whole impetus for everything too. So
What's been the most challenging part for you in getting the campouts up and running and being so consistent and successful?
I mean, it's like there's so much that goes on behind the scenes. It's crazy, like the production level. I mean, it's I'm blown away by the people that are building the stages and it's just from top to bottom, even just like the catering, and it's just there's so much that goes into it. I mean, it's the moving parts in that thing are pretty spectacular, and you seeing a lot of live events. I mean, you're like, oh, it's great, the pretty lights and DJ, and but what you pull the wizard behind the curtain. What's really going on back there is so many people involved and so many decisions that were made prior, year prior or longer. So it's definitely a long process and strategy to get it even, to get all the pieces in place.
Yeah, I bet. I was first camp was Lake San Antonio.
Yeah.
The next camp that I went to was up here near Modesto. I'm in Sacramento. Was up
Oh,
in
no.
the Modesto Reservoir, and I know that you guys that first year in Modesto, you had arm wrestled with noise,
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
So how many of those issues do you guys go through
Oh,
pre-planning?
again, yeah, I mean, it's smoke and mirrors, right? There's so many things that, I mean, I could tell you, like, literally in the middle of it could have been close to not happening or whatever. I mean, and, or, DJ artist flights getting canceled or, not being able to make it or whatever, right? So it's a constant, especially during that weekend, it's definitely, you have to be agile and you have to kind of, think on your feet a bit for sure, especially with so many other things going on.
You plan on taking it to Europe at all?
People always request that. No current plans on the horizon right now. So we're actually been focusing just on camp in and camp out this year, and so just making those like as good as they can be, right?
Yeah, both East Coast and West Coast.
Yeah. We just did camp in last month over in Orlando, which was great, really awesome show.
And so with all these events coming up, what's been the hardest thing you had to have to overcome with traveling and balancing your life, family?
I mean, obviously having to deal with like COVID travel restrictions, stuff like that. That's kind of the big thing. Fortunately, I have a very supportive wife that's flexible. Her job is flexible too. And so, you just make it work. I'm really passionate about what I do. And so, I mean, if I'm not hanging out with my family or riding my bike, I'm pretty much just working. But it's not, I don't consider it work, right? it's just something that I just do and am. And I think that's been the key is that, you just find something that you're really passionate about and like, you don't even think about time in that sense. It's just like, there's a never ending list of stuff to do. And, you just constantly knock things off of it and cross it out.
What are a couple things that you like to improve overall in the scene culture?
I'm sorry, you broke it. What a couple of things? What was that?
What are a couple of things that you'd like to see improve in the overall scene culture?
I good question. I mean, I think there's obviously a lot of the conversations kind of about I don't know. I mean, I guess I'm just trying to think on an event level, sometimes it can be a little competitive out there. You hear about, especially some extreme things and in terms of like people are just trying to capture that market share. So, but again, it's a cutthroat business on that side is definitely a challenge. And I mean, I think it's always constantly though about educating people and artists and labels and stuff. I think so much of it is like miseducation where, people do all this raver math in their head, like, oh, there's a big festival, they must be making billions of dollars, or, oh, I had 10 million streams, I must be a millionaire, right? So there's all this like, random things that people just assume and kind of you do this back of the napkin stuff that isn't as accurate. So, you know, trying to get all that information out there and answer questions and, you know, is important, I think, for me at least, I think in terms of seeing everything grow and progress.
What have been some of your experiences or some of the habits you've instilled early in your career to now that help you keep that foresight of success and help keep the label and the distribution company driving?
Apple Notes with the list. That's honestly, like, for years has been my thing because it's connected to my iPhone, and as things come in, like if I have to do something, I just put it on that list, and basically multiple times a day I go through and I just number them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I mean, because there's so many different things from the label to the distribution to other stuff and personal stuff. You know, trying to do it all at once, you know, it's impossible. So that's honestly been I think I've tried using so many different other project management tools and whatever, but honestly, it's just Apple Notes that's connected to my iPhone. And I delete that thing when it's done. And then that's managed to keep me somewhat focused and organized for sure.
Just staying consistent.
Yeah, exactly.
What other things do you find yourself doing to maintain the current level that you're at?
I mean, it's a lot of, you know, kind of staying on top of things. Like, you know, I read, not books, but I just kind of read a lot of things, articles and research, and just, you know, just trying to listen. You know, I mean, I'm listening to music all the time, but just trying to stay on top of everything. I mean, and it's changing, right? You know, it's just, so that's honestly, to me, is just kind of, is just getting information. Like, I just love just receiving information. So fortunately, I like to get it and I'm passionate about it, but that's definitely the thing that I kind of am usually looking up or trying to figure out most, you know.
Shout out to all the people in the chat giving you love. Selected Recordings has a question that,
yeah.
Have you ever thought of offering a class or mentorship so fans and young entrepreneurs can learn from you virtually?
Not really virtually, you know, but something that, you know, I've always been open to. I'm part of an organization called A2IM, with this Association of Independent Musicians and Artists. And I'm actually doing a mentorship one-on-one with them. But, you know, a lot of the things, you know, I'm just naturally this way. Like, you know, I always encourage people to hit me up with a question or whatever. I'm pretty open book. And, yeah. I always love these conversations because, you know, again, it's like, especially, you know, the music business is one of those things you have to live through rather than study about. So, you know, there's a lot of failures, a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of things that, you know, is definitely, you know, that you can't really study in a textbook in this business. But I always, you know, like I said, for the most part, an open book, encourage questions and stuff like that. But
right on. I can definitely attest to that. Every time you've always had a smile on your face. You're extremely approachable. I don't find that a commonality. And so I just want to acknowledge
Thank you.
It's just natural. I think you definitely fit the right mold to take a level, to take a label to a level of success at which Dirtybird is right now. A lot of it attributes to how you run and manage yourself. So I just want to acknowledge you for that.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah.
Right on, man. So what do you got working on right now?
Starting a book, Dirtybird Campout. We have a couple artists, our 2 headliners, a couple bucket list guys that I'm so excited for. And so kind of starting to do all of that. And then working on a lot of stuff. We have a ton of new labels that we've signed over with Paradise and managing that with our services as well. So, you know, and then, yeah, continuing to just kind of just go into the summer. Hopefully that everything lifts off and people can go back and enjoy and listen to music, because that's kind of, it'll be nice to kind of be able to promote records by DJs playing them again, because I know that for a year and a half it was kind of hard to market a record for DJs when DJs weren't playing except on Twitch, which isn't as impactful as seeing them dance in front of a stage at Coachella or something like that, right? So,
of items here, or are you guys kind of phasing that out?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Is Twitch still something that is
Yeah, it's kind of, it's kind of phased out, I think, industry wide. I think people are ready to get out, and so the time it takes to get all that going and just do a good show is significant when you can do it on the road. And I think it was really good at bridge the gap, for sure, between the live shows and nothing at all. I mean, being able to see a lot of your artists via Twitch. So, I mean, kudos to all those DJs that did that, and Twitch itself, the platform, for kind of having to pivot pretty fast once everyone started realizing that they can just stream on Twitch. So, but I mean, in terms of like dedicating it, it's definitely something that's kind of gone more on the back burner as the live shows have opened up, for sure.
Oh yeah. What have been some of your most memorable events?
Oh man. I mean, I know all the camp outs. I mean, there's so many different moments. Probably Dirtybird camp out East Coast, the first one where we did the early arrival party with Seth Troxler, but we didn't really actually have the permit on Thursday night. For some reason, that was the one part of all of the stuff that didn't get done. And so they basically shut the party down. And I mean, it was like, so, and then we had long story short, but Pitbull's lawyer basically helped us get back on track. And we had one day off, and we basically had to compress the whole festival into like 36 hours. So, trying to rearrange like Ronnie Size and, Justin and Barkley and all these Tiga and all these artists coming. that was, and it turned out amazing. It was so much fun. So that's probably, it's one of those things where, like you're asking earlier about when, how do you navigate on site, and it's just, you don't know what's going to happen. It's just, it's just gonna happen. So
Do you guys go through a lot of like risk planning prior to day one of any festival or party? Do you guys go through all of that risk mitigation? Like, what happens if this? What happens if that?
I mean, not necessarily like through, obviously we have a lot of protocols in place to, for many different things. But when you're in that situation with that many people and that many, everything moving parts, there's stuff that comes up that you had no clue what was where it was. So, fortunately, it's all been navigatable, if that's a word. But yeah, but yeah, it's part of the fun, though, I think.
Right on. Tell us a little bit more of your Stompy days. I know first time I saw you was at Love Parade. I think my cousin has a video of you, and we were talking about you like for like 1 or 2 years before we actually knew who you were and met you. Fucking music, dude.
Thank you.
Were so fun back in the day.
Those were I really miss Stompy. I mean, it was like, it was a great time. I mean, the events were so awesome. And, we got to we did it with, a lot of the parties we did with Sunset. So me and Galen, kind of worked really closely together on kind of curating the lineups. And it was always, the idea was to try to get like music that you can't hear before, and so, and it was just the whole vibe from the outside to starting outside and then transitioning to inside. It was just something that we can't recapture again. And a lot of people are like, when are you going to do another Stompy reunion and whatever? And I'm like, it's one of those things, man. You just kind of want to be Michael Jordaning basketball and not try to come out if I was a baseball player or something, So it's some things are just meant to maybe just be for the archives.
Oh yeah. Who are like a couple artists you like get giddy over that you get excited when you see them, or look forward to playing with them or sign?
Actually the person who I love the most, I actually camp out and then again at camp out, is this artist named Yeti, Yheti. It's the most craziest, weirdest fucking mindfuck music ever, but it's so awesome. But a lot of, honestly, a lot of the Dirtybird, like the family guys, like, Walker and Royce and those guys, like it's just every time we all get together at Artelon and, all of them, it's like we all get together and it's just a real big extended family, as it always is. So I always love seeing those guys. I don't play anymore. I always play, but I always say I'm always working on making everyone else famous. So I don't really practice or whatever. I have a ton of music, but you know, again, it's one of those things where I just like I live vicariously through all of the artists I work with, which I'm very lucky
Have you,
for.
have you ever dipped your hat into the production ring?
Yeah, I've made a few records. One with Joey actually, one with I made a few records. But you know, again, I get in there sitting and I'm like, just knowing what I work with so many talented producers, and it's like one of those things. Like if you're trying to learn guitar and then you go, you know, hang out with Jimi Hendrix, you're going to be like, I'm never picking this fucking thing up again. So, so it's like every time I do get in the studio, I'm like, what am I doing with my life right now? What am I don't belong here type thing. You know, I can, so yeah, it's been a while since I've actually been in the studio and messed around. I mean, I have my degree in audio engineering, but I'm a really shitty engineer. So,
Do you do audio engineering now, like at the festivals, or do you just mostly managing?
yeah, no, I'm on the other side. I mean, I can, yeah, I know enough to like, you know, ask the right questions or have the conversation about it. I mean, you know, but in terms of the creative side, it's just one of those things where I'm the left brain side or right brain. I don't know, whichever one is the non piano playing
I,
side.
any future plans to collab with other festival names?
No, not right now. You know, I mean, we did a lot of some collaborations in the past. You know, like Dirtybird was, or the Camp Out originally was, but you know, we're really excited just doing our thing and being able to have full creative control and run it. You know, do what our vision is. You know.
Do you get a chance to travel to other festivals like LIB or those?
Prior to COVID, yeah, I kind of did. I did a lot more other shows, but not recently too much. Starting to open up. We'll go to a few things maybe here this summer, but yeah, it's been a while. Like I said, pre-COVID, I would do a few things, but slowly getting back into it now.
Yeah, I think Stacy and I are going to Desert Heart, excuse me. And
Totally. I know. I that's going to be a good one. That's going to be a really good one. So there's some good stuff coming out for sure. Whether I will be there though, that's a whole other question.
what about Burning Man? Have you been to Burning Man?
I have not. We always did Stompy Burning Man week, so I always had the excuse, and now I feel like it might have jumped the shark a bit. So you know, that time might have passed. But
Yeah, definitely.
my wife is dying to go. She even was talking about it the other day about driving. So you never know, though. I'll never rule it out completely.
Well, I've seen kids there, so if you
Yeah,
need to,
I will rule that out completely, though. I don't think I'm going to bring my daughter there. I think that's where the line will get drawn.
well, right on, man. So as we're wrapping up, what's one or two things you can leave the audience to leave them inspired? If there's like someone listening that's looking to get signed or looking to increase their outreach as an artist.
I mean, be genuine, be passionate, expect a lot of no's and rejection, but don't give up. I mean, it's just this business it'll eat you up and chew you out. You know, it's eat you up and spit you out, right? Yeah, but yeah. I mean, if you got to be really into it, you got to be really passionate. But don't give up, man. There's a billion labels out there. There's a billion festivals out there. But be genuine. Don't try to make a Dirtybird track or make a Desert Hearts track or make a whatever. It's like just really be yourself, and I think that's going to be the longevity is going to be there much more, and you're going to enjoy it, and the chances of success are going to be much higher.
I definitely love the point of being authentic and just being vulnerable and being yourself. I think those traits go a long way with success. So I acknowledge you for bringing that.
Yeah, thank you, man, for sure.
Right on, man. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you, everybody in the chats, for jumping
Yeah,
in.
thank you. Thanks, everyone that's listening. Feel free to hit me up, Deron at Dirtybird, if you have any other questions or send a demo or want to know about Paradise distribution. Just feel free to hit me up.
Right on, man. You have a good one.
You too, Aaron. Bye, everyone.